Start by introducing ourselves to you, and then
Awesome.
we will just let you take it away. Okay.
I'm Kalina Walensky. I oversee the upper class experience and residence license services.
Jamie, are you here back office?
Eric, the recon office.
Jen DeSantis, I work over in ESS.
Awesome. I'm Kate Mead. I'm the president of Phi Mu.
And I'm Maggie Agnes, and I am the former secretary.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we will be presenting to you all today about our scholarship pillar. So we have kind of two main ideals that surround our scholarship program in Phi Mu, and this is talking about the first. So we really believe in a kind of working from the ground up perspective. We really like to focus on encouraging sisters individually and in small groups to work on their scholarship and their intellectual development and things like that, because we feel that if we can kind of create a really solid network base, that will really build the chapter up as a whole in terms of scholarship. And then the second kind of overarching theme we have for our scholarship program is that we really believe in development through recognition. And we kind of take the word recognition in two separate ways. The first is that we really believe that it's important to recognize sisters chapter-wide when they're doing things positively in terms of their own scholarship, intellectual development, and career development. So we'll talk a little bit more about the specific programs that we have in place to be able to recognize sisters in chapter a little bit later. And the second is that we really believe that it's important for sisters to kind of recognize in themselves where they're strong and where their weaknesses are and where they can improve, to make sure that they're staying on top of their kind of scholarship goals and plans for themselves, and identify the areas where they can improve.
So we kind of defined those two main, pillars within our pillar through these 5 steps. So it would be fostering a positive environment and accountability, chapter recognition, personal growth, as Kate mentioned, scholarship through relationships, which is that second main pillar, and then our further development. So we're going to start right in with fostering a positive environment and accountability. And what we've really focused on mostly in 2014 and then into 2015 is accountability in our chapter. That's a huge theme. And keeping sisters accountable and keeping yourself accountable really helps foster that positive environment. Another thing we've really tried to do, one of the main changes we've made to sort of reflect this thought is changing our discipline board, changing the name to honor board, and kind of changing a few of the connotations along with it. So instead of penalizing sisters for not meeting certain standards, we're instead trying to positively help them through those hard times by, again, positive reinforcement. So to start off with our positive environment that we harbor here at Phi Mu, every semester we, as a chapter, decide a goal GPA for our chapter. We evaluate and reflect on the GPA that we get from the grade report, the Greek Life grade report the semester before, and we set our GPA goal. Right now it's set at a 3.59, if I'm correct. And in my time in the chapter in 4 years, we have never lowered that goal. It's always stayed stagnant or increased. We also are very proud of this, but we, for the last many years, have had the top GPA of Phi Mu nationally, and we really don't tend to, we tend to really be proud of that in our chapter, but we don't really share that outside of our chapter, which I think is a shame, because it is a really big personal goal of all of ours. And those are two main things, just like the physical GPA goal is kind of sets, again, that baseline for people to then build off of and create their own network of scholarship. Academic club involvement kind of goes off of our citizenship pillar and the spirit of our citizenship pillar that we explained in our presentation with you guys last week. I guess none of you, but what they really stressed was that we are citizens because we are good citizens in the community because we follow our passions and we like to share our passions with our sisters. So we get involved in academic clubs. There's sisters involved in tutoring. There's sisters involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters, which harbors tutoring in a positive scholastic environment. There's sisters involved in academic integrity board. And one of the main examples I talked with Kate about earlier was Case for Sight. We have a bunch of sisters that are involved in Case for Sight. And again, it's a cause that they're very passionate about, and they're willing to share that with their sisters. And if we scroll down to the next point, events of the week, we have a calendar that our internal PR chair sends out every week. And it says, if you guys have events that are going on, please let me know. And one of those events just last week, just as an example of kind of intellectual development events that we may share with each other, Case for Sight added that they were having a couple talks of 3 people who were sharing their personal experience of being blind and going blind at different ages in their life, at different stages in their life. And that is something that we think really connects not only our passions, but then can share our passions with each other and share the intellectual developments kind of outside the classroom with each other.
Going off that, I think it's also really important to note that a lot of the time sisters will go to these events just to be supportive of their sisters, and that maybe their original intention wasn't to go learn about how it is to be blind, but then they, through that kind of connection and that sisterhood bond that we really emphasize and stress and love in our chapter, they end up kind of developing intellectually as they support other sisters, which I think is kind of cool.
So that's just one sort of example. There's all of those clubs plus more that I listed that people are really involved in that sort of extend that discussion a little further outside of our sisterhood and outside of the classroom. Within our sisterhood, we have these scholarship chapter discussions, and we've really changed our chapter programming from like announcement style, where is what you usually see is I have this announcement, to discussion based. So all of our announcements are electronic, except for the vital ones, and then otherwise it's all discussion based. So we have a couple questions that are posed at the beginning of the chapter, and sisters are encouraged to engage in healthy discussion about whatever topic is brought up. And one of the main things that we do at least once a semester is talk about scholarship. So a couple of the different bases we cover is not only resources that the school has and resources that Phi Mu nationally has, but resources that are just right in our chapter, like resources that your sisters may have and resources that we've put in place over the last year. And then also a little bit of career development is brought into that. So we've done resume workshops, and we've done a little bit of mock interviews with alumni, and we're getting a little more into the alumni thing. We'll discuss that a little later. But I will let Kate take the next one.
So the next one is chapter recognition. This is something that we've been stressing very recently, because I think a theme we've had in the past is that sisters are maybe a little bit too humble and not forthcoming enough with all the amazing things that they're doing. So there are a lot of things that we've kind of been adapting and changing and adding to this aspect of our scholarship. The first is just praise in chapter. It's, chapter is that one time a week that everyone gets to come together and discuss topics, just like Maggie was saying. And we really feel it's very beneficial to praise those sisters in chapter. So one of the ways we do this is called snaps. So every week we have the snaps program, and this is a little more free form, but essentially anytime during the week where a sister did something amazing, like she got, an internship or an interview, or she helped a sister get an internship or an interview, or, helped a sister study or tutored a sister, she has that ability to write in a snap. And then the snaps are read at chapter so that people can know that, the sisters are working together, and that people are doing amazing things for each other. The second is what was the scholarship game in 2013 and 2014, and it's kind of morphed into Scholars of the Chain. So in 2013, the scholarship game was an electronic survey that got sent out every week, and it was standard questions every week, and they were the same. So it might have been, did you get an A on a test paper or quiz? Did you get an internship this week? Did you go to all your classes? Did you meet with a professor? Things like that. And Jenna Kelly, who we're probably going to mention 1,000 times during this presentation, was our scholarship chair in 2014, and she was a huge kind of mover and shaker in this programming that we've been developing. And she changed that to be a more holistic kind of look at scholarship. So she changed that stagnant questions a week to every week there was a new theme. And they weren't entirely centered on, just strictly classes and GPA. So one week might have been about internships that you have. One week might have been about the speakers that you'd seen in the past semester. One week might have been reading inside and outside the classroom and things like that. And then At the end of each week, there would be a winner of the scholarship game, whoever got the most points, and then at the end of the month and the end of the semester, there was an overall winner. And she chose the winners for the month at random. She felt this was really important because if a sister's improving, that is just as important as a sister who might be staying stagnantly high in terms of their own scholarship. We then reflected on those changes that we really liked in 2014 and have started to move into kind of a new scholarship game, and we call this Scholars of the Chain. One of the phrases in our rituals is Sisters of the Chain, so we thought it was a fun play on words. And a lot of the sisters have been complaining that if they didn't, have an internship that semester, then for an entire week they weren't getting points. So we kind of reflected on this, and now it's much more freeform, so the sisters can either come to the house and post on our academic bulletin board, or they can submit electronically all the things that sisters are doing. So you'll say, like Maggie got a 95 on her physics test, or like anything like, or Maggie got an internship at this company. And on top of that, we have kind of separated it into our Phi classes, our pledge classes, so that it's kind of competition based. So every time someone writes a thing that a sister is on the board, it is transferred into one of these physical paper chain links, and then those chain links are added up to make a link for your pledge class. And in Phi Mu, we're very competitive, and we have definitely realized that drives sisters to do well, and this has been working really, really well for us. And every week there's just like huge amounts of things on my scholarship board that our current scholarship chair, Olivia, goes through.
They're mostly from your pledge class. That orange chain, that's her pledge class. The blue chain, that's my pledge class.
We're 5 to 13 is very competitive. And so now we actually hang these chains in our scholarship room, so that it's kind of like a physical, visual reminder of all the amazing things that we're doing. And we're really, really liking this programming. And then from those submissions throughout the week, our scholarship chair, Olivia, picks a smart cookie of the week. And she basically looks through them all and kind of picks a standout from all of the submissions and then recognizes them a chapter as the smart cookie of the week. And then they get a little bag of cookies that are their favorite. So we think that's a really cool idea that she kind of incorporated into that too. In addition, we have our scholarship reception. This has kind of also changed in the past years. In 2013, it was just a part of our parents and alum brunch, and it was just very internal recognition, which was great. But in the past 2 years, we have expanded, and we actually now do our scholarship reception with chapters, other chapters in Greek life. We've worked with Sigma Nu, Pi Beta Phi, and we are really liking this change. We think it's so cool to hear what other chapters are doing in terms of scholarship in the community, and to share our kind of positive scholarship programming with them too. It's really cool, and we hope that this continues. And then the second aspect that I talked about a little bit earlier is personal recognition. This is a picture of our library nights, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So the first thing that we have that's more on the accountability side in terms of personal recognition is our academic checklist. This is something that Jenna Kelly put in place in 2014. And basically, if you are on academic probation because you didn't meet our grade standard, you are required to complete this academic checklist, which has a variety of things on it, such as making sure you go to classes every week, meeting with a professor and talking about your situation, taking online surveys to see how best you study and how best you plan and things like that. And every, I would say, month or so, this checklist is kind of reevaluated to make sure that there is enough opportunity on it and that it's kind of a holistic approach to making sure that the sisters who need extra help have all of the avenues that they can to get that help. This has been incredibly successful. We're actually very proud of how this has gone. In the past year that we had instated the checklist, we had 50% of the sisters who were on probation get off of probation, which is kind of an unprecedented number for us, and we're really excited about that. In addition, we encourage all sisters at the beginning of the semester to set their own personal GPA goal. And we also think that setting personal GPA goals as well as a chapter GPA goal kind of puts a numerical, very quantifiable goal in place in someone's mind, so that they can always kind of come back to that if they're kind of trying to figure out what they want to be doing in terms of scholarship and they have that anchor. And We also have library nights. This has changed from the past as well. 2014 was definitely a year of change for us, and that's all due to Jenna Kelly, our silent warrior. And she changed our study tables, which originally was basically we reserved a room, and sisters were encouraged to study together. So if you were in classes with sisters, to go there to study for your test or quiz or do your homework together, and study that way, to library nights, because a lot of the feedback that we were getting was that it kind of turned into social time because we love each other and we don't get to see each other throughout the week all the time, and it's really easy when you're supposed to be all working together to end up just being social instead of that academic focus. So we switched it to library nights, where we encourage sisters to study together, but study either in groups if that works well for them, or else just know that your sisters are around you when you're studying individually. And we joke that there's always a Phi Mu at KSL at any moment of any day. So this is kind of something that we also like, because sisters don't have to go out of their way to kind of join in this collaborative scholarship type programming, and then that they can just kind of tailor their personal scholarship needs to the programming that we have in place for them. When our sisters are pledges, Phis we call them, we also have them take a learning style assessment. The academic chairman usually goes to the Phis and makes sure that they are doing this, and it's basically just an assessment online that identifies how best they learn and how best they study. So if they're a visual learner, or if they're they're better learn when they're hearing someone speak to them or anything like that, they kind of can identify that early on in their scholarship, in their Phi Mu kind of journey, and then use that throughout the time that they're sisters. And then our academic excellence chairman is always there to help them with that too. And then supplementing learning as well. We also have a ton of sisters involved, as Maggie said, outside of our chapter. We have many SIs, we have a lot of sisters that work in research, a lot of sisters that work in internships, and we definitely encourage sisters to do these things and to find their passions outside of their grades and classes, to kind of develop themselves in terms of careers, career goals, and think of scholarship outside of just that number, that grade on the paper, on their transcript. And we're really proud, and we love that we can have all of these sisters involved in all these things. And another thing that we really like about this is that oftentimes sisters kind of let other sisters know about these opportunities. I actually just got a job from what used to be my sister Christina's position, because she posted it on our page, and that's kind of a theme, is that sisters have kind of been passing on their jobs and connecting people and networking, and especially the SI research internship kind of category of scholarship.
Right.
Is a big theme.
For example, in my research group here at school, one of our newest members took over a position for a sister who graduated last year, and now I'm taking over that position now, kind of late in the game. But it's sort of